Chapter 1. The Power of Words. Hi, I'm Finn, and today I'm going to talk about how to memorize words easily and effectively. Learning new words is one of the most important parts of learning English. Words are like the building blocks of any language. The more words you know, the easier it becomes to understand others and express yourself. But sometimes, memorizing words can feel difficult. Have you ever tried to learn a new word but forgot it the next day? Don't worry, you're not alone. Many beginners find this challenging, but there are ways to make it easier and more fun. Why does learning new words feel difficult sometimes? One reason is that our brains are naturally better at remembering things that catch our attention or make us feel something. If a word doesn't seem interesting or useful to us, we might forget it quickly. But here's the good news. By making words meaningful and fun to learn, you can start to remember them better. For example, when you hear the word apple, you probably think of a shiny red fruit. You might even imagine taking a bite and feeling its crisp, juicy taste. That image makes it easier to remember the word. Now think about a new word you've learned recently. Maybe it was a little tricky. Did you try to connect it to something familiar or interesting? When you feel connected to a word, you're more likely to remember it. This is why emotions and interest play a big role in building your vocabulary. The power of interest in learning. When you're interested in a word or find it useful, your brain works harder to hold on to it. For example, if you love cooking, you might find it easier to remember words like recipe, spices, or ingredients. You can use this technique for any words you want to learn. Ask yourself, how can I make this word interesting to me? You could try imagining a story with the word, linking it to something you love, or even thinking about how you'll use it in a conversation. Remember, building your vocabulary is like planting seeds. The more attention and care you give to each new word, the stronger and clearer it will grow in your mind. Here's a great quote from Dr. Seuss. The more that you read, the more things you will know. The more that you learn, the more places you'll go. This quote reminds us that learning new words isn't just about memorizing, it's about opening new doors. Every new word you learn takes you to a new place, helping you understand more and express yourself better. So, what's the best way to get started? Begin with words that feel important to you. Start small and make learning a part of your daily routine. Practice reading, listening, and speaking with new words as often as you can. To make it even easier, I've uploaded videos on my website to help you practice and improve your vocabulary. These videos are designed to help you learn new words in a fun and simple way. Before we move on, I'd love to hear from you. What's the most recent English word you've learned? Drop it in the comments and let's talk about how you can remember it better. Chapter 2. Word visualization. The power of imagination. When it comes to memorizing words, one of the most powerful tools we have is our imagination. Our brains are wired to remember pictures and images much more easily than just words or letters. This is why the visualization technique can be so effective in learning new vocabulary. By imagining what a word means and connecting it to a mental picture, you can make the word much easier to remember. What is word visualization? Visualization means creating a picture in your mind to represent a word. When you think of a word as a picture, it becomes more than just letters on a page. For example, if I say the word apple, what comes to your mind? You probably imagine a shiny red fruit. Maybe you even picture taking a bite and feeling its crunch. This image makes the word stick because it's tied to a real object or experience. How can you use visualization to remember new words? Let's say you're learning the word mountain. Instead of just repeating the word, try to close your eyes and imagine a tall, snow-covered peak. Picture yourself standing at the bottom, looking up at the huge mountain in front of you. You might see clouds touching the top or hear the wind blowing through the trees. By connecting the word mountain to a strong mental image, you're more likely to remember it the next time you hear or see it. Visualization doesn't have to be complicated. Even a simple picture in your mind can help. If you're learning the word happy, you might imagine a smiling face or a moment when you felt really joyful. The more vivid and personal the image is, the better it will work. Connecting new words to mental images. The trick is to create a mental image that stands out. The more unique or emotional the picture is, the easier it will be to remember the word. For example, if you're learning the word ocean, you can picture not just any body of water, but a giant wave crashing on the shore. Maybe you imagine yourself swimming in the cool water or standing on the beach, listening to the sound of the waves. These details make the image clearer, and that helps the word stay with you. Why does this work? Our brains are very good at remembering pictures and emotions. When we link a word to an image, it becomes more meaningful, and our memory holds on to it better. Visualization taps into the creative part of our mind, making learning feel less like a task and more like an experience. A famous Chinese proverb says, "To learn a language is to have one more window from which to look at the world." This quote reminds us that learning new words gives us new ways to see and understand the world around us. By using visualization, we're not just memorizing a word. We're opening a window to new ideas and images that make learning fun and memorable. How can you start using visualization today? Next time you learn a new word, stop and take a moment to create a mental picture for it. You can even write the word down and draw a simple picture next to it, if that helps. The more you practice, the easier it will become to link words to images automatically. I encourage you to try this technique and let your imagination run free. It's a fun and creative way to make sure new words stick. And don't just take my word for it. Give it a try and see how it works for you. I'd love to hear from you. How do you picture words in your mind? Do you imagine scenes, objects, or something else? Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. The way we visualize words can be different for everyone, so let's learn from each other. Chapter 3. Word Connections, Linking Old and New. One of the best ways to remember new words is to connect them to words you already know. Our brains love patterns and connections. If you can link a new word to something familiar, it becomes easier to understand and remember. This technique is called word association, and it's a powerful tool for learning English vocabulary. How does word association work? Think about it like building a bridge. On one side, you have a new word that you're trying to learn. On the other side, you have words that you already know. By creating a connection between the two, you can build a mental bridge, making it easier to cross over from the familiar to the unfamiliar. For example, let's say you already know the word beauty. Now you're learning the word beautiful. These words are connected because they come from the same root, and they belong to the same word, family. A word family is a group of words that share a common base or root word. In this case, the root is beauty, and the other words in the family include beautiful, adjective, and beautify, verb. Once you know one word in the family, learning the others becomes much easier because they are all related. Why are word families important? Learning words in families can save you time and effort. Instead of memorizing each word separately, you can learn several related words at once. This not only helps you build a richer vocabulary, but also deepens your understanding of how words work together in the language. Another example is the word family of act. You might already know the word act, verb, but did you know that action, active, and activity all come from the same root? By recognizing the patterns between these words, you can more easily remember them and use them in sentences. Connecting new words to known words is like adding new branches to a tree. Your knowledge grows in all directions, making your vocabulary stronger and more connected. By finding ways to enjoy repetition, we can make sure our new words stick around for the long term. Whether it's flashcards, apps, games, or the Feynman technique, repetition doesn't have to be dull. With a little creativity and the power of spaced repetition, you can make learning English words a fun and lasting experience. Keep practicing, and you'll be amazed at how quickly your vocabulary grows.